You're ready.
So the three life lessons that I have for the world is that everyone needs a coach in life. Everyone needs to integrate their current life with their ideas. And everyone needs to get out and build relationships. So firstly, I want to touch base on, I believe the most important is a coach. A coach gives his time and his philosophies, his expertise into you, and it'll help support your current ideas. So one of my coaches, I kind of said this in my story, but I'll talk about a different time in my life where I had a coach named John Corrigan, who is a lead strategist for Booz and Company. He helped me in my role at my first job out of college with Murphy USA. I drove 500 miles to a town of 18,000 people, and I was in the middle of nowhere. I had no idea what was going on, but I was working under a top strategist in the country. And what he helped me do was kind of strategize what my life would be like. I knew I had to integrate it around being social, being healthy, learning, and I didn't do that to my best ability. When I was in this town of 18,000 people, I was not happy. I was kind of depressed. I didn't really have any friends. I didn't have anyone to reach out to talk to at the city. And John Corrigan, he was kind of my only guy I was there for, because I wanted to learn from him. And what I did learn from him was that you really need to take a step back, analyze everything that you're doing, experiment, and find a way to make it happen. So what I've done is I've integrated that into my life by mapping out the next day. So for the past 90 days, I've mapped out every one of my days. I started out with a question. I've started out with a purpose for every day, and I know what the day is going to entail. And something I've also learned from coaches that I need to visualize. I need to see it happen. I need to speak it into action. And that just helps retrain the brain to make you believe that you can do this. And I learned all of that through coaches, through books. And I'd say that's one of the most important things in my life now, is having a coach to help me get to that next level. So one of my second life lessons is that I need to integrate my current life to support my ideas. So what that means is kind of have everything within 2 miles of you. I was most happiest, and I am most happiest right now. It's because everything in my life is 2 miles away. The dentist office, the cafeteria, the gym, my work office, my clients, everything is within 2 miles. And what I've done is I've said, I'm going to make some money within that 2 mile space. And I believe this is my expertise. Matthew Lieberman, he's a professor at Harvard. He said, social is described as the default network as the set of regions in the brain when you are doing nothing. So when you're doing nothing, you're either on Instagram, you're thinking about someone else, you're seeing how you can be cooler, and every one of us is an expert at being social. That's what our world is centered around. And with the emergence of social media, and with it being so new, with me being on college campuses, with me knowing that I am an expert at being social, I just said, you know what? I've spent the last 4 or 5 years engaging in college students. I'm going to try and make money off of them. I'm going to try and help them. I'm going to have them learn from my mistakes, and not only my mistakes, but my successes. So I heard an interesting quote yesterday, is that an 8-year-old can learn from a 14-year-old, and a 14-year-old can learn to teach an 8-year-old. And that's kind of the life that I want to be in right now. When I was in high school, when I was in college, I was reaching out to the top CEOs around the country, wondering how they talk, how they walk, how they dress, how they act. And I've learned. I was the 8-year-old right there. I learned from them. And now 4 or 5 years later, I want to be in the middle. I want to be kind of the 11-year-old. I want to still learn from the 14-year-old on how they talk, how they walk. And I also want to teach the 8-year-old. I want to teach the 8-year-old what the 14-year-olds are telling me. So what I have done is I've integrated my life into a social circle within 2 miles. My last and most important life lesson is get out and build relationships. Getting out and building relationships is what my business is about. It's called Tucker Wells Go. Go stands for get out. And I've learned this at an early age. By getting out, you meet new people, you make new relationships. Opportunities are everywhere. You need to be a good listener, and you need to have a mental framework of what am I going to learn from this person I'm just meeting. You could learn what to do and what not to do. And overall, I want to build these kind of relationships with the 14-year-old and the 8-year-old is because I want to become the master. I'm reaching out to people right now so I can start building my business. But in the future, I want to be the 14-year-old. I want to be reached out to because I am the master at something. And that way I can build my client base more easily. I can hire employees. I could have the financial independence that I want. And I want to get out and build relationships so other things in my life that I want can come true. So overall, my top goal is to teach 500,000 students what I'm teaching right now. And that's get a coach, integrate your lifestyle within 2 miles, and get out and build relationships. And that overarching goal is selling my videos, selling my voice, my learning to the NCAA. And I will do that by experimenting with what works and what doesn't. I'll experimenting with that by being in a book and getting my story out. I will get to that goal by building a social media following. I will get to my goal by going to seminars and getting coaching. I'll get to that goal by integrating my lifestyle within 2 miles. So, my decisions are easy. And that's really kind of what I've Forbes lately. I started producing content. I started honing down on my message and making metaphors. And I've also made my first sell. Before I met Forbes, I was working at a 9-to-5 job. I was not happy. I was in a kind of depressing environment. I did not know what I wanted. I did not know how to get it. And since meeting Forbes, I've made $3,000. I've started a company. I've gotten away from my closed-minded attitude that I was going to kill it in commercial real estate because that's what other people had wanted for me. I started focusing on my dreams and how I could get there. And what Forbes has done for me, it's insurmountable to what I've ever learned in my life. And what I've Forbes lately, that's just getting out there, honing down on who I am, what my message is, and helping others through that message. So Chuck, there it is. What I do is I enhance college students' lives through my story.